Hi, darlings. Yeah, this is casual Rudi. This ist Backstage Plus oder wie man auf Deutsch sagt, Backstage Plus. Or Backstage Plus. Um, as you know, this is a pure Q&A, questions and answers. These are the questions that came in quite a lot. We have this new email address, as you know, and I'm going to answer them. And I'm going to answer all of them. So here we go. It starts with Roberto from Italy. I think I know who this Roberto is. Excuse me, I'm drinking decaf coffee, so something comes up. Keith Richards is your friend. Have you ever thought in your youth that one day it would happen? In my youth, well, I met Keith Richards when I was very young. And I did my first Rolling Stones video, actually before I did the first Queen video, in 1982. It was a video called Time Is On My Side. It was a re-release because that's an old song. And I did the version 1982. It's an official video. And I was really young. But I know what you mean, Roberto. You mean that have I ever thought that this will happen? Well, you know, I don't know. There is if you know him, but there's a very famous jazz musician. He was Austrian, and his name was Joe Zawinul. He was one of the first Austrian world stars, so to say, in jazz. He played with Miles Davis, who is the god of jazz. And when I interviewed him, being myself a very young interviewer, he said to me, you know, Rudi, I said in German first, and then I said in English. I said, you know, Rudi, der Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, der Boxer, hat mit 13 gewusst, dass Weltmeister wird. Ich hab das auch gewusst. Which means the famous boxer Cassius Clay, or Muhammad Ali as he later called himself, knew when he was 13 years old that he will become world champion. And he, Joe Zawinul, knew it as well with 13 that he will become world famous. To be honest, I didn't know that, but looking back, a lot of things pointed in that direction. So of course I am humble and I'm thankful of what I have achieved, although, as you know, I'm in the middle of my life. I become 120 years old, so 60 is just the halfway. Yeah, second half is following. And as my friend Peter Maffay said, you know, with this age, what you had to do is behind you. Now in front of you is only what you want to do. Auf Deutsch, da heißt das, die Pflicht ist erfüllt und jetzt folgt die Kür. Und dies ist bekanntlich das Schönste. And this is the nicest thing in life. So, then Roberto says, or asks, will we ever see a backstage of the video I Go Wild of the Rolling Stones? Well, Paul, please make a note. Paul, as you know, is my partner in crime sitting in Vienna. My associate producer, Beth, sits in Cleveland, Ohio, and I sit here, as always, in my office in Miami. Let's make a note. Yes, we're going to do one. It's a good idea. I Go Wild, a backstage. Because there's a lot of things to say around it. Then Roberto, here's a lot of questions. Talking about the Falco video Rock Me Amadeus, 1985. Well, it actually was filmed in 1984. I don't want to correct you, Roberto, but it's 1984. It became a hit 1985, and it became number one in the States, if I'm not mistaken, in 1986. You see, it's casual. Talking about Falco Rock Me Amadeus, how was the video born, mixing historical and modern punk scenes? Well, you know, at the time, I was working in partnership with my then partner, a guy called Hannes Rossacher, of whom I separated. in 2007 or 2005, I think, for reasons that I will never say. But we were a good team artistically. And Falco and I were long-term friends. We knew each other when I was 17 and he was 18. It was my first job when I started as a boy who was getting the coffee for real stars and to check out the band, which was called Hallucination Company. It was their very first concert. And a guy named Falco, who didn't call himself Falco at the time, played bass, and we became friends in the dressing room. We were smoking green cigarettes which smelled funny. I don't know what it is, but and we also were drinking not Coca-Cola like here, but this is of course Diet Coke. But it was not water, but it was see-through vodka or something like that. Nostrovie, by the way, to my Russian fans. Anyway, this is how we know it. And then it came about, the three of us came up with it. Actually, he didn't like it, Falco. Hannes and I came up with the idea, and he said, I'm not gay. I don't want to put on a wig of Mozart. But we convinced him. Laurence from France. With which artist, dead or alive, would you have liked to work? Well, I'm getting asked this very often, but see, the list of artists is so long. Somewhere here I have the list, that I have achieved much more than you can usually ask in one life, and so I don't wake up in the morning and I have sweaty hands. Oh my God, I haven't worked with so and so. I did almost all of them. There's a few which I never worked with. So usually my answer was, I've done it. But since backstage, sitting in this chair always means that I'm telling the complete truth, there is some artists where it's a pity that I didn't work with, and one of them is Eric Clapton, whom I adore and think he's a great guitarist and has written fantastic songs. Maybe, well, Bob Dylan used to be, but Bob Dylan never made videos, and the documentaries when I came, they were done already. There's one interesting thing. But that will all be in the book about myself, which will be after Freddie. I once said no to a video with a very famous artist, and I only did that once in my career. And actually, it's an artist that I like and that I adore, that I really respect, George Michael. And because I was so close to Freddie, and he always liked Freddie, was his idol, and Queen and what have you. And we also met at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, where I, as you might remember, was co-director and co-producer. We were working, he wanted me to do a video, and before we actually filmed it, I said, I don't like what you are planning. And we stay friends, or we, in a good, then I'm doing something that I'm not convinced of. I did that in the past. But he's the only really big one. It would have been nice to have George Michael on the list. Jean-Marie Engels, who is the artist who painted the piece of Jesus holding Freddie? Oh my God, I have to look it up. Is it Pieri? I'm not sure. Darling, I give you the answer to this. Okay, I make a note. Because I have not read through it, because I'm simply answering all of them, I'm going to, this is going to be in the next, or in one of the next plus. In the art section of your presentation, somebody's playing classical guitar. Is it just beautiful? Is that you? No, I wish it was me. I used to play classical guitar like that. It would be easy to say no, yes, but I'm not lying. Rudi Dolezal never lies. And Rudi Dolezal always keeps his promises. That's the two things I also educate my children with. It is, as I said on Sunday a week ago, Uh, so far, the music for my art presentation is taken from a local Miami band, and I'm going to present them in one of these backstage on one of the next ones, maybe even as a guest coming into my office. Um, Laura Tate from Argentina. Hello, dear friend Rudi. I want to know what Freddie has asked for the beautiful scandal video. What Freddie has asked. Thank you. I look forward to your response. Um, I don't really know what you mean. What Freddie has asked. I can tell you about the scandal video that that was the only video. Well, first of all, it happened very quickly. It wasn't planned. Um, there was always planned to do, as far as I remember, and please, this is many, many years, decades ago. The Miracle was always on the horizon as a video, but Scandal was sort of put in, I think, as the fourth, or was it the fifth or the third single. And there was a very little preparation time. I did that on my own, by the way, and directed it on my own, like also Slightly Mad. It always says both names, Dolezal also, but not always was like that. And I had the Freddie was not happy. I mean, maybe you mean it in the making of. There is a discussion between me and Freddie. That's probably what you mean. And Freddie is not happy because the idea was we didn't have the usual time to discuss everything up front because there was little time. And my idea was this magic, massive front page of a boulevard, of a paper like The Sun or Bild in Germany or the National Enquirer, called The National Scandal, as a provocation and as a joke, on both sides. And I was thinking, because we had the idea that there's only red, black, and white used on the stage, and as well also the dresses. That the first part of the singing, everybody's a silhouette. And when we actually, and this was lit for, in videos like that, you have, I take hours of lighting and lighting changes, etc. That's the reason why it takes so long. And Freddie didn't like that because he said, was one of the few things where we were not agreeing, because he said then he cannot perform the song, he cannot deliver. Maybe he was not really convinced of that. Anyway, I changed it. And that's what we are discussing in this making of scene. There's a lot of big stars in music world, but Queen are loved from some generations of people, even born. Okay, Sylvia Bonnie from Italy. There are a lot of big stars in music world, but Queen are loved from some generations of people, even if they are born after 1991, correct? Do you think it's only for the great music they play or for the people that compose the group? I think, well, Queen is unique, and Queen had 4 very strong personalities and 4 very strong writers. All 4 of them wrote hits, don't forget. I think it was a combination of many things, to be honest. First of all, the music is still there and it's great. And each of the 4 original members was very, very good in a special field. And as always, it was 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 was not 4, it was 5. Because, as you can see on the results, all of them made solo records. I did videos for all of them, not for John Deacon, because I think he only did film music as solo work, as far as I remember. And the solo albums were far less successful, even Freddie's, than the Queen albums. So when were they together? And Roger said that once in an interview, it's like coming home to Mother Queen. Then something special happens. I think that's also the secret. How do you think, this is again Sylvia Bonnie from Italy, how do you think Freddie will behave now if he was alive? Now he will be 47 years old. Will he be an old man, think about the past, and fast, always happy and finding joy of living? Well, one thing I can tell you, Freddie, if Freddie, until the last moment of his life, was thinking of having a good life. If Freddie was alive today, he would definitely do something that you and I are not thinking of. He would do something and we would be surprised. This could be, he could have gone into acting, this could have been writing books and novels, this could have been writing operas, musicals, what have you. Anyway, it would be something that is not, okay, yeah, sure, this is the, because Freddie was a bohemian artist with a lot of facets, a lot of aspects, a lot of possibilities. And he would surprise us, be sure. Then we have Maud Trans-Van from France. What Freddie Mercury thought of France, or did he love something particular about or hated something? So often used French expressions. It's weird, but I'm French and I don't know why, but I love to know if you ever noticed something like that. To be honest, I have not. First of all, like everybody, like moi ici, France, French, it's a language, it's très joli, très mélodique. Parler français est très intéressant. So he likes the expression, and it was also very cool to use French expressions. This is something actually you would have to ask Peter Freestone, who was more in that direction. I don't know. I mean, I know that there's very famous concerts in Paris, because when I did all those documentaries like Magic Years and the Queen Phenomenon and Champions of the World, and I was going through all this archive footage. There's excellent Paris concerts. So Stéphane Bonnevoy, or Bonnevoy from France, a very nice French. He's always translating the German newspaper articles into French for the French fan club. And there's a good chance that I will be in Paris next March when there is this big convention. I haven't said definitely yes, but I'm thinking about it. About your Time video, is it true that it was shot very early in the morning in the Dominion Theater with some stage effects and lighting from the musical? Yes, that's true. It had to be very early in the morning because we only had one day to shoot, because there was this rule at that time that if you are top 30 in the charts in England, I'm talking UK, the next week you can present your video in the program Top of the Pops, which was the big BBC show that everybody watched. And that was where everybody wanted to get in. And you only get in if you are top 30 in the first week. So, and nobody was actually thinking that Time would go top 30. And I was called, I only had a week. I was called by Jim. This is a whole chapter in my book, My Friend Freddie. And I had to rush to London. And the only way we could do something, because it had to be edited as well, and it was one day after it went into the charts, and it had to be in that week. Otherwise, you lose that chance. So we were going there, Freddie, Dave Clark, the producer of the musical and also co-writer of the song, and a lot of other people, together with my team of Doro London at the time. And we said, well, what? And the idea was, well, we pack all the effects that are in the musical, that are on the stage, into this one song, and that's what we did. And it had to be early in the morning because we had to get out, because at the evening they were playing every night the show. So I think we had to be out by, which was ridiculous, by 5 or something, because they had to arrange the show, and then at 7 or something it was doors open. So yes, Stefan, um, Stephanie, we say in Germany, this is correct. Tony Johnson from USA. What is your favorite color? I was going to send you something. Well, I like this color, red. But I used to have red as my favorite color, but I also like purple, and I have a great orange scarf, and I like black for dressing, but it depends. But if you take the classical favorite color is red. Curious if Freddie had anxiety issues at all. Well, like all artists, of course. Yes, but I couldn't tell you exactly. I mean, we did talk about that, but I would rather think that this is too private to share it with fans. Like I also have anxieties. I think if anybody is honest, if somebody says, "Oh, I never have that issues," probably lying, or he's very dumb. Because nowadays, especially with all those problems in the world, if you don't have anxiety, then here and there, or be afraid of something, then I think you're either not sensitive or very dumb, or don't feel anything. But that doesn't mean that there are people who can handle that better. Yeah? But artists in general, being very sensitive, tend to have that. Elisa Negri from Italy. When you were at Freddie's house, did you see how he acted with his beloved cats? Oh, of course. This was part of the. You could not see it. And don't forget, for the very last video where he ever was in front of a camera, which was my camera. These are the days of our lives. He had painted his cats on the clothing that he was wearing. John Wolford from USA. Do you think Love of My Life was written for Mary? She didn't leave him, so singing You Left Me doesn't make sense if it's Mary. I heard it for the first time relation. I heard it for the first male relationship that left him. Well, dear Joan, the reason why a lot of people think it's written for Mary, which I think it's not, is because in my documentary, The Untold Story, Mary gave the very first time a full-length interview, filmed interview, telling how it was that although they've been together for years, Freddie came home one day and was telling her that he found out that he loves men and not women. And when she did that, it was a very sensitive interview. And I think she only gave it, I have to say that because it was me. Because she knew about our relationship in working for Freddie, and she knew that I would never do anything which was not tasteful. And when I was editing this video, I had this idea, or when I was editing the film, which later was awarded at the Grammys, I had this idea that I'm using instrumental versions of very famous songs. And to cut a long story short, underneath her telling this very touching story, there is Love of My Life. So that's why a lot of Queen fans think. I have to be honest, if you ask me like this, I couldn't tell you exactly who it was for, if it was written for anybody, because that's something that very rarely we discussed. I'm pretty sure it was not Mary, but maybe there are better people to ask than me. Roby Tosso Roberta from Italy. A lot of Italian fans. Thank you very much. Bella Italia. Viva Italia. I'd like to know if you ever met Paul Prenter and what's your opinion on him. Was he close to Freddie? The movie made him the villain. What do you think? Well, yes, I did meet Paul Prenter, and um, to me personally, well, he was the unfriendly press manager at the time when I came into the picture. Um, so he was, but I think he was trying to be a shelter or a barrier for Freddie. They were very close, I know that. And then when I came into the Queen world, into the so-called inner circle, very soon Paul Prenter was gone. And what I know is that many years later, when Paul Prenter was doing something which I think is disgusting, and I would never do that. And Freddie was very, I don't know if it was furious or disappointed. Paul Prenter gave private pictures that he had with Freddie and of Freddie to The Sun, which is one of these newspapers like National Scandal, and one of these papers that always made Queen problems and was creating scandals wherever there was not a scandal. And he did that and he sold it. I think it was something like £30,000 and he needed the money. But anyway, I'm somebody who says, well, if I'm with somebody uh, in close, then I cannot exploit that. I mean, this is also very important about my book, My Friend Freddie, which, by the way, you still can pre-order. And now we have the website where you just can go and you're led through, or you can send me a check and we have a PO box. $10, and you have secured your autographed copy of the first issues of the book in your favorite language. There's a lot of things that I know and that I've been part of, because the whole book is just more or less things that I was there. I'm not writing a biography or whatever, but there's a lot of things that I know of that are not in the book because they're too private. Because I know I only know them or was there when they happened because Freddie considered me in a circle. And I feel this as an obligation, and I do not want, this is why I waited more than 25 years. I mean, so many people have written books who never even met Freddie. And I worked with him for many years. I did, and we were friends. So that's important. And this is why Paul Prenter did what I would call a no-no or a no-go. You can't do this. You're disqualifying yourself as a human being, or even as a friend, of course. Eric Corinne, in your Instagram live, you mentioned several times that you communicated Brian May. Do you talk to Jim Miami Beach recently? I'm wondering how he's doing lately. He's okay. Jim is fine, yes. I mean, we've always been in contact, even over the years where I didn't do so many Queen projects. As you know, I mean, I was for many years doing almost everything that was released. It also had to do with Freddie's passing, but also I did quite a lot of work for Queen, with Brian, with Roger, with Jim Beach, who always was with me producing the documentaries. And we had a very close relationship. I consider Jim Beach a very good friend of mine. And I learned a lot from him, of him. He's doing fine. Maria Billier from Belgium. Have you also experienced Freddie's generosity? I mean, him paying the bill in restaurants for everybody, or did you get any presents for him? His friendship must have been wonderful. When so many people speak about him with great love, he must have been an exceptional person. Yes, well, of course, generosity. I mean, it was not that Freddie was throwing around with money. That was not the case. But I know, and I've been part where he helped people. Sometimes even without them knowing that it was him who helped. And I know how he, how when it was time to make the plan, what happens when he's in heaven, I know what he did to the people who were close to him, and that was very generous. Mersat Rebronia from the Netherlands. Will your Whitney documentary and the concert of or concerts get a DVD release in the Netherlands? I would love it if you could make a book of some kind too. You probably have lots of rare photos of Whitney and that kind of stuff. Well, Mersat, you can read my mind, right? Can you? Um, this is obviously a Whitney fan. Uh, well, the thing is that there are legal reasons. There have to be some legal stuff to be cleared. First of all, the film Close Up, which is the one I did on my own, will be released in the States and all over the world soon, and is also planned to be released. It will take some time because what I have now in mind is that I would like to shoot some more stuff, being the time passing as it did. And the film in its current form was shown in Austria and Germany and all around film festivals. But that's coming. And the concerts, well, yeah, I mean, there is 2 unreleased concerts that I filmed complete concerts. And that's again, I wanted to have the close-up film first worldwide and then release the concerts. Because funny enough, the record company, they wanted the concert to be released immediately. I said, no, I have this footage that nobody else filmed before. Whitney gave me that chance, and I want the documentary out first. And it was a fight. And as you might know, I also was fighting with the estate. But not because I'm a bad person, but because I will simply have some principles. And my deal was with Whitney, and there was nobody present apart from Robin Crawford. And everything that the estate or other people afterwards were claiming or whatever, that's just not true. And it's also, I feel responsible to Whitney. I made a deal with her. There was a handshake deal, basically, that I do a film like Untold Story, like the Rolling Stones, about her. And I made this promise to Robin Crawford and herself and to nobody else. And therefore, then, especially after Whitney's passing, everybody wanted to release the concert. I said, well, first, there's the documentary called Close Up, because that is what I promised Whitney in my, in my editing room and in Vienna, and then when we started filming. So, Liz Gonzalez, did you know what happened to Freddie's artwork drawings? I want so bad for there being the Rock Museum in London honoring the great artists that lived there, and I want the highest honor and respect for his personal possessions. Like a museum. As far as I know, well, I think his sister was keeping them, and they're either with the Mercury Phoenix Trust or with the family. They are in safe hands. I have filmed them, as you know, for the Untold Story and for other documentaries. That was the first time when I did it, and I'm pretty sure that it's possible to have it in a museum. Marco Uzai from Italy. Well, I have a lot of Italian fans. Do you remember Axl Rose at Freddie's Mercury tribute concert rehearsals? Many people say he was not there, but Peter Freestone, in his book called Freddie Mercury, What's Left Behind, tells he saw him at Bray Studios for rehearsing with surviving members of Queen. Well, who am I to contradict my dear friend Peter? To my knowledge, well, let's put it this way. That's a good question, by the way. I filmed everything at the rehearsals. I was there the whole time, and as far as I remember, nobody refused to be filmed. I filmed all the rehearsals. There's tons of footage that I directed. And also did a lot of interviews at the rehearsals which we used in several Queen products together with Jim Beach. There is no footage of Axl Rose. And I remember that there was a lot of rehearsals of Slash with Queen. So to my knowledge, either he didn't let us film, which I must say I don't remember, or he wasn't there. I would have to talk to Peter about this one, because if Peter is absolutely sure, then he's right. Peter is somebody whom I trust. Oh, Roberto from Italy again. Have you kept any objects used during Queen videos you did? Yes, could you show us? Oh yeah, I've kept stuff, but I can't show you now. But I kept, for example, all the storyboards and the concept. I mean, it wasn't always a storyboard in the classic sense, but what I did, and this was before computer. I mean, there was of course computers, but I was printing out on the left side the lyrics or what happened musically, and on the right hand side with different colors. I mean, I love colors. Like this is, for example, from yesterday. This is the running order from Rudi Backstage, and this is because it had to be quick. If I have time, then I also put it in a computer, and with different colors, meaning different things and different angles and what have you. I was doing concepts, and then also sometimes there were obviously drawings on top of it. Storyboard. I kept those. I kept things. I will show you once, but I have most of the stuff is in Vienna, Austria, and not here. So you worked with Queen and Rolling Stones. What were they similar or different in? Oh my God. Well, they are similar. Well, first of all, I think they're more different than similar, because Rolling Stones is always was a rock band. Rolling Stones, excuse me, it's the coffee. Rolling Stones didn't take care a lot for the videos. There's a few Jagger videos and also Stones videos that are very interesting and good, and I was had the privilege of directing two. But Queen, they were the icons, or they invented the genre music video with Bohemian Rhapsody. Queen was a very showy band at the beginning, with Freddie, but also the others, also Roger and Brian and John. And High Heels and more in the direction of David Bowie and the glam rock thing at the time. T-Rex was another band. And the Stones were always like dirty, So in that respect, I don't see a lot of similarities, apart from the fact that both guitarists, of course, Keith Richards and Brian May, are legendary. And Brian invented some riffs which are legendary, which is Keith Richards' strong part. And Queen is much more melodic, and also in terms of singing the choirs. So I would say where they are not different, it is more than what they are similar. So darlings, this is Backstage Plus. There's more questions, but there will be another Backstage Plus where I'm answering the rest of it. So I hope you like that, and stay tuned. Don't forget, go on the website. You can now pay in the $10 or the €10 and secure your version and your copy, your autographed copy of my book on Freddie Mercury. I would be happy if you make popular my Doro TV, Rudi Dolezal's Doro TV, the YouTube channel. And of course, I would be happy if you are with me and my team every Sunday when it's called Rudi Backstage.
Backstage, all you ever want. Backstage, all you ever need. Backstage, your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there. You'll never want to leave.